and welcome to Legal Breakdown, where we break down legal topics to make the law relevant and accessible to everyone. I'm your host, Erin Brueche. My guest today is an attorney specializing in divorce and family law. He is also a divorce coach. Here to talk to us about what that means and his specialty practice is John Nachlinger. John, welcome to Legal Breakdown.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited about this topic today. We are going to talk about your role as a divorce coach and how that goes along with the divorce process, and also another thing you do, which is mediation. So other alternative forms of dispute resolution which really help families move through the divorce process. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Sure, well thank you for having me today. So I've been a divorce attorney for almost 20 years in New Jersey. And about 2 years ago, I kind of got to the point where I was sick of all the fighting. It's all the fighting that we go through all the time.
Yes, understood.
So I was like, is there a way that I can take all of my experience and really help people? So divorce coaching was not something that I had ever thought about doing, because I think out there in our community, divorce coaches mean something to everyone. I decided just to make it my own thing and just try to come up with some way to help people. So my journey has been to take that experience of being a divorce attorney and to just find another way to help people. And unfortunately, because it's difficult to say I'm going to help you but not in a legal way, that's why I call myself a divorce coach. But I am not a divorce coach necessarily the way that other people would say that what a divorce coach actually is.
Well, I'm not quite sure there's a definition of divorce coach. I mean, we come across this all the time in our practice. And some people are not attorneys at all. Maybe they went through their own divorce, maybe they're a life coach. But I think your role is special in that you are a practicing attorney and you have that experience as an attorney. So what do you see your role as? What is your definition of divorce coach?
It's funny that you brought up life coaches, because I feel like anyone can put that on like their business card and say,
right,
I'm
a life coach.
Right? So the way I kind of look at it as, we're in the middle of March Madness right now, so I kind of look at myself as a basketball coach.
Okay.
But for men going through a divorce. So basically, draw up a plan, draw up a play, but I'm not actually part of the game. I'm just sitting on the sidelines helping them put together, a plan. And then I send them out into the world to execute it. Now, to me, the divorce attorney is part of the game.
Okay.
They're part of the game. So I'm much more of an observer. I'm just sitting there really just helping my person, my client, the man that's going through a divorce, really just help them understand the things they should or should not be doing, but really from a non-legal perspective. And what I mean by that is, I'm not talking to them about the law. We're not talking about, are you entitled to alimony or should you be paying alimony? Really, we're really just talking about your mind, your mindset.
Okay.
Getting yourself in that right mindset so you can go into discussions with your divorce attorney without feeling, like you're being, subjected to unfair laws, or that your wife is trying to screw you, or your children are trying to be taken away from you.
Right.
I try to get them into the right mindset because, as you know, Erin, because you are a divorce attorney, it's hard to get someone to settle if they aren't in the right mindset.
Yes.
So that's really where I concentrate my efforts.
That's a very important part of practicing law in general is, as attorneys, we might know how the divorce is going to settle in the end. It's convincing our clients that that's what's going to happen, and let's kind of cut to the chase and skip right to it and get your case settled. So I find that as a big challenge in my practice as well. So I think having a divorce coach along the way would be very beneficial to clients. How do you find your interaction with I know you don't speak to the attorneys that are representing the clients, but do you find any conflicting information between what you think should happen legally versus what your client is saying and what their attorney is saying? How do you manage all that?
Yeah, it comes up very frequently because I will hear something that an attorney has told one of my coaching clients, and I'm just like biting my tongue like, what in the world?
Right. What are they saying?
Yeah, but I actually do have some limited exposure to the attorneys. There are a lot of guys that I actually help them find an attorney. So part of my divorce coaching, if I get them early enough, is helping them find the right attorney for them. What kind of process do they want? Do they want did their wife hire an attorney that's known as someone who's a ball buster or a pit bull or any of those
Right.
terms you and I probably neither one of us like. So then you need a particular kind of attorney. Or has she conveyed, or has her attorney conveyed that they want to try to resolve things amicably? Well, let me help you find an attorney that's actually going to be mediation-minded or collaborative-minded. So, because most people, what do? They just go on the internet and they search divorce attorney, and they start
Right.
calling people. And most people, they don't know what they're looking for, so what do they look for? Who's the cheapest, or something
Yep.
like that. So I do help some guys do that. But once the divorce process starts, I do tell them, listen, I don't want to be involved. So don't tell me to call your attorney and tell them X, Y, and Z. I'm not doing that. But every once in a while, what I'll do, Erin, is I'll explain to them why their attorney is saying the things they're saying to them.
Okay.
And I'll say, listen, here's why they want you to accept this settlement. It's not because they don't believe in you. It's not because they don't think you've got a good case. But here are some of the reasons why they might be doing it. And so I really try to help the attorney indirectly with the mindset of my client, help them understand sort of why their case is going the way it's going. And because, a lot of guys, if they have to pay, let's say, alimony, or if their wife is getting a superior custody arrangement to them,
Yeah.
they feel defensive, like they're being punished in some way.
Exactly.
And that's really where I try to step in and say, no, you're not being punished. This is just what needs to happen in your situation, and I just try to help them understand that.
Right, right. And you're really interpreting what the attorney is saying and making it practical to what they want to do and what their goals are. Now, you told me before the interview something interesting. You only do coaching with clients from different states. Why is that?
Well, so right now I'm still a practicing New Jersey attorney. I still have a law firm here. We still do litigation cases. And one of the things that's interesting about being an attorney is we have all these ethics rules. And so conflicts can arise all over the place. And because I have a forum where a lot of men come in, it's a forum where you can come in, it's free, and you can get advice. I pop in all the time and I give little advice to everyone under the sun, but there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men in this forum.
Right.
I can't possibly keep track of them. And, I just came to the conclusion of, as an attorney, I don't want to be putting my firm in the position of constantly having to make sure I don't have any conflicts. So I just decided it was easier to just say, okay, if you're in New Jersey and you reach out to me, and there's several clients of the law firm that reached out to me as coaching clients, and I said, well, listen, I can't coach you,
Right.
but we can, I can represent you, and while I'm representing you, as your attorneys, I'll provide some coaching as well. So that's kind of how I've gotten around it. So yeah, that's really the only reason. It's really just as this has grown, and there's, I've had contact with thousands of men. It just gets to the point where, as you know, conflicts are just the kind of thing where you don't even want to be put in a position where you have to deal with it.
You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to have to get involved in a case and find out that there is a conflict. I would also think it's helpful not knowing the specific state laws for the people that you're coaching, because then you can't really have an opinion and you have to go with what their attorney is telling them. Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. And our country has so many crazy divorce laws. And because I hear about them, in talking to all these guys, but it's very helpful for me because I tell them all, I just want to concentrate on your mindset. Helping them just understand why this is happening to them. Most of the guys that I coach, they are the ones that are on the receiving end of the divorce. Their wife has told them that she wants a divorce, and they're caught blindsided, even though
I like that you put it in quotes, blindsided.
Well, it's really interesting because no one's ever blindsided. You've made you've made a decision that you want to ignore what's going on around you.
Exactly.
So I just try to open up their eyes, see that you ignored things that were going on. This isn't happening to you. You're part of what's going on, and so it's really helpful for me not to even know the law. So whenever they ask me those questions, like, well, why should I be paying alimony? She's working. I know you've heard that before.
Right.
I'm like, well, I don't know the laws of the state. I don't know. There might be a reason. Maybe she's just entitled because you make more than her. I don't know. You need to talk to your attorney about that. But whatever your attorney says, we need to figure out a way to make you understand that that's what's going to happen. So you need to get your mind around it.
Exactly. Now, you also mentioned that this is coaching for men. Why are you singling out men?
So if you go out on the internet right now and you just type in divorce coach, you're going to find a lot of coaches. And if you read their resources, you're going to see they really are focused on women, both directly and indirectly, just the verbiage that's used. And also, the majority of the divorce coaches out there are women as well. There are male divorce
coaches. I agree with
coaches.
that. Yes.
So I've found that once I made it men only, so men feel like there's a safe space. And then I tell them I'm not working with women at all, because a lot of men, they're in that raw emotional state. There is they do feel a little bit of that man versus woman thing, because a lot of men think that divorce laws are anti-man. There's just that perception out there.
There's absolutely that perception.
So I just created a safe space, and I think with anything, you have to niche in order to fully serve your clients. It's just like an attorney who's a general practitioner that does everything. You're really not doing much help for your clients because you really don't know a lot about any one particular area usually. So I really just decided, let's just focus in on men. It's an underserved community. And I told you this the other day, I have done very little advertising. I just sort of put it out in the world.
Right.
And people are finding me because there's no other resources, and I just have never understood. I don't know if it's because divorce coaching, kind of like therapy, even though I'm not a therapist, men just have kind of an aversion to having to talk about their feelings and what that's going on.
I think any kind of
life.
coaching, any kind of therapy, a lot of men are very dismissive of it.
Mm-hmm. They're very dismissive. So by creating a safe space and knowing that there's a lot of other men that are also doing this,
right.
It has really opened up a lot of guys. I joke around that most of my clients, I think I'm the first person they've cried in front of in years.
I think that's very accurate. I think most men don't want to share those feelings, and the fact that they can share it with another man who understands what they're going through and who has a legal background, it's a very valuable service, and I'm not surprised people are finding you from all over the country.
Yeah, and that's really that's the long and short of it. Is I just said, I know that men need this. I knew deep down inside after being a divorce attorney for so long that men need it, and so I just said I'm just gonna focus in on men. That was just the decision I made from the very beginning, and that's how it all started. Yeah.
Is there a specific process you follow? Is there an outline to your coaching, or is it you develop whatever the client needs at that time?
So on my website, I do have like some programs, but really they're organic for each person. So it depends on where I'm getting them. So if I'm getting somebody at the very, very beginning, then I'm focusing usually on why is this happening to me.
Right.
If they've already gone through that and it's really the legal process has started, it's really just a process of helping them get through the legal process. Right. And now there are other men who come to me who are thinking about divorce. So they're actually thinking about it, or the wife has threatened it. They're kind of thinking about it, and they want to start planning. And so actually, I developed an online course about planning for divorce. It's a boot camp where just teach guys how to organize your finances, organize, deal with your children. Like, what are the things you need to learn about your kids that maybe you don't already know, like who their teachers are and stuff.
Stuff, but
exactly.
Some men and some women too might not know this.
Right, and then and help them protect them against bogus domestic violence claims,
yes.
which happens a lot.
It does.
And then also deal with their sanity, their mental health, remind them that they need to, during the divorce process, don't go into a hole. You need to still go out with your friends. You need to do healthy things because, we've seen a lot of people who, they start going through a divorce and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of their mental state because they just go into a cave. They don't want to talk to anyone in the world, and they end up really only talking to their divorce attorney.
Right.
And the poor divorce attorney's like, I'm not a therapist. You can't keep, calling me and tell me all of these things that are just like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me?
And not to mention the expense associated with a divorce attorney billing you by the hour.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what I do is a lot less than what a divorce attorney costs because I don't have the same overhead as a law firm has, and that's a misconception. You've probably heard clients say before, but but I pay you X number of dollars per hour. I'm like, but it's
not going in my pocket.
It's not going in my pocket. It's a whole firm, and right. I think. But so from my perspective, you're basically, paying me to just be there to listen to you and give you practical advice, not to actually help you through the legal process. And so it's a much better use of your money. Divorce attorneys, it depends on where you are in the country. Some places, divorce attorneys only are $200 an hour. And then,
right.
And then in New Jersey, New York, usually most good divorce attorneys are well north of $350 an hour.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it really is a better use of money, and really at the end of the day, when you're going through a divorce and you're already pinching pennies trying to get through the process, you've got to be smart about the way you're doing things. And if you're not going to talk to your friends, you're not going to get a therapist, you're not going to do any of these things, I think a divorce coach is a great tool for you just to process the day-to-day stuff that's going to be going through your head.
It certainly is. Really good information, John. We're going to take a quick commercial break. More with John Nachlinger when we return.
Our new home. Lots of windows, great light.
But the birds. They're back.
Yes, I hear them.
Uh-oh. Why are these birds so angry?
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
We save a lot.
I'm going. Ah!
Hurry!
I know.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Welcome. I'm Barry Lefkowitz. I'm your host on New Perspectives on RVN TV. I come to you each week with issues and topics that you will generally find in the news. And if you're looking to be able to get caught up and know what's going on, then New Perspectives is the show for you on RVN TV. Look forward to having you.
Your mom's gotta go.
Oh, she's family.
Like daughter, like mother.
Well, what is that supposed to mean?
She's using my Old Spice moisturizer with shea butter for impossibly smooth skin, and she's wearing my robe. It's bad enough you use up all my body wash, and now her.
We're out. Nice robe.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you. You got good taste. That's your mama.
Hi, I'm Angelo Valletta, President and CEO of Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeast PA and host of Innovation Wins. Innovation Wins gives you a sneak peek at some of the most exciting, game-changing technological innovations being developed right now by Ben Franklin's brilliant and creative entrepreneurs that will not only inspire, but intrigue and inform you. So please, join me for Innovation Wins on RVN TV on Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. and Tuesdays at noon.
Welcome back to Legal Breakdown, where we break down legal topics to make the law relevant and accessible to everyone. I'm your host, Erin Brueche. I'm here with my guest, John Nachlinger, who is a divorce coach. He also has a law firm in New Jersey, and one of his specialties is also mediation. So, John, I really want to dovetail into this topic because this is another buzzword today. You hear the words mediation, collaborative law, alternative dispute resolution. What does this all mean?
It's interesting that you say that we hear about this all the time because people call our office and no one understands what any of these terms mean, which is really interesting that they're out there in the world, but people still don't understand what they mean. So mediation, I look at it as when someone calls my office and they tell me that their spouse and them are amicable and they're able to talk, all right, and they're able to sit in the same room, or they're not in a very good place, but both of them are committed to finding a way to resolve it as quickly as possible, even if they hate each other's guts.
Right.
If I hear those two areas of how people describe their relationship, they're a mediation candidate, period.
Right.
Because I think a lot out in the world, people think of mediation as, oh, we have to be able to like be friendly and sit in the same room. But really, that's not what it is. Mediation just means that you have to be committed to just trying to find a resolution,
right.
Hopefully without attorney. So mediation is a process where a neutral third party, usually an attorney, sometimes it can be somebody else, but I would argue attorneys are in the best position to help people.
100%.
Because
it always has to be an attorney, in my opinion.
Well, it does. I mean, unless you're mediating something like very minor, like a parenting dispute, and it's limited to that, and maybe a mental health professional.
Right.
But most of the time, it needs to be an attorney. And the reason that's good is because the attorney knows all the things you need to agree to.
Exactly.
And so they can help you with the roadmap. And to me, that's what mediation's great for, is if you could start a divorce process and you and your spouse are able to sit in a room, or at least you're committed to getting it done as quickly as possible. And what a mediator will do as a neutral party who doesn't represent either one of you will take you through each and everything that you need to agree to. And I find more often than not, I just say, here's the first thing we need to agree to.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, I'd say 80% of each thing as I go through it, they're already in agreement. They just don't know that they need to agree to a bunch of things.
Right.
You know, and so
Right.
that's what mediation is. Arbitration is a process where you hire somebody, again, an attorney or retired judge,
mm-hmm.
to actually make decisions for you. And
Right.
And that person is making decisions that are binding, meaning that you can't go to a judge and say, oh, this isn't fair, I don't like the way this turned out. They're binding. Now, of course, you can agree that maybe the arbitrator's decision can be appealed. There are some nuances to that.
Right.
But it's really, you're just hiring somebody who is going to be making decisions.
Why would someone do that rather than go through the court process?
So our judges in New Jersey, and I would suspect nationwide, but I only know about New Jersey, most of the judges sitting in family part never handled a family law case in their life before they became a judge. I mean, we
Right.
have judges who were in the government or judges that did real estate transactions. And so they come in and really they're learning on the fly what the law is. So you're having a judge who maybe isn't really familiar with all the law and all the nuances, and they're relying upon other people to tell them that. And so what's happening is they're making decisions on your life. Now, that's person A that could make the decision.
Right, that's very scary.
Right, it's very scary. Or person B could be a experienced family law attorney who's been doing this for 30 or 40 years, or a judge who actually was on the bench for a long time and actually knows the laws very well. And that person making a decision.
Right.
So, you know, there's a possibility of an outcome you're not going to like either way, but at least with the arbitrator, you're going to get someone who is very familiar with the law, who really knows what the nuances are. And if you get to a point, let's be honest, if you get to a point where you're having someone else make a decision, unless there's a lot of emotion involved, you're probably dealing with an issue that isn't legally clear. And so
Exactly.
you need someone to make a call one way or
Right.
the other. Someone's not going to be happy.
No one's ever happy when they go to court.
No, but at least you know you're going to have someone who really knows the law well, helping you resolve your case. So that's why
Right.
arbitration's so good. But you do have to pay an arbitrator.
You do.
That's why it's not for everybody. And arbitration can be very expensive.
It can be very expensive, but the court process can also be very expensive, and the waiting time associated with court is also, there's a cost associated with that. It might not be financial, but time, and some of the counties in New Jersey, if it's going to take 2 years to get a trial date, well, taking it out and going to an arbitrator or going to a mediator and trying to work it out yourself, it's very beneficial to everyone involved.
Oh, I agree. And there's also a movement where people will use a mediator and they agree that if they can't resolve certain things, that the mediator will become an arbitrator. Like I've seen those sorts of things happen too.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we just need resolution. You know, a lot of times it's a very small issue, like how many years alimonies can be paid
Right.
or what the exact amount's going to be. And no one wants to just make that last 5% change to
Right.
finish it. So arbitration is really great too, and you are right, it saves a lot of money. Also, you control your schedule. Same thing with mediation.
Yep.
You know, the court's going to tell you, you be in court on this day, and you may not get to change that day. It may be that day, whereas mediation arbitration, you and your spouse can say, okay, well, our kids, need to be picked up from school at 3 o'clock, so we need to get done by that time. So it's better to control everything. So that's really, really good as well. And then in collaborative
law is also another buzzword these days. What does that mean?
So it's interesting. Collaborative law is more of a traditional process in that both parties hire an attorney. But the parties agree that those attorneys are only representing them through the collaborative process, and I'll explain what that means in a minute. They're only representing them through the collaborative process, and if they don't reach a resolution, they can't use those attorneys to go to court. So it kind of makes some financial incentive, right, for you to actually get it done. But usually you bring in other people into the process. You might bring in like a mental health professional. You might bring in a financial expert of some kind. Usually you have some kind of facilitator who's involved in the process. It could be someone who's like a mediator.
Right.
Or, some people call them a referee, like whatever you want to call it. But,
I like that, a referee.
Yeah, and so the parties just agree on the process, all informal, all about proceeding in good faith. There's no judge telling you anything. But that process, for a lot of people, I don't know that a lot of people need the whole process where each person's paying an attorney and then they're hiring all these other people. I mean, really, I tell people, look at your situation. If you have a simple life, you and your spouse have W-2 jobs, you've got a couple kids, but you guys aren't really fighting about where the kids are going to live. No one's asking to move out of state. You don't have any businesses. You really need to just come up with a process that's as simple as possible. And that's why I think the default, the starting point should be mediation. And
100%.
And then if you need a little bit more, then you could look to arbitration and collaborative law. Your fourth option way down the road should be court. And I'll tell you right now, for all your listeners, if you go to an attorney and they tell you the only option you have is to go file something with court immediately and get started, walk out of their office,
run,
and go to another attorney, because that is not how you should start a case. You should start a case by trying to see whether or not the other side will agree to do mediation, arbitration, collaborative law, see if there's another way to get this done.
John, we are just about out of time, but I have to ask you about something. Your email address is john@gethappydivorce.com. How did you come up with that? And does that just make you smile every time you type it in? Because it makes me smile.
Yeah, it does. It does. So a couple of years ago, we kind of tried to decide in our firm, what is it that we do? We don't get people divorced. I guess we do, but that's not really what we're doing. We're trying to help them turn the page and start a new chapter in their life. So we thought, what better way to convey that than to say that we help people get happy. Get happy again.
Get happy again.
Because usually if you're getting divorced, you're unhappy with your life. Something's gone awry, you're not happy. We help people get happy again so they can have a fulfilling rest of their life. So Get Happy Divorce is how it came to be.
Wonderful words, great wisdom that you're sharing with us today. Mediation's the way to go. Divorce coaching is something that's up and coming and really a helpful tool. Look over there and tell the audience how they can find you if they need any of these services.
Sure. You can reach us at centraljerseyfamilylaw.com or gethappydivorce.com. And that's the website that will take you to the law firm where you can learn more about mediation. The coaching business is thedivorceshield.com. And if you're a man out there, even in New Jersey, and you want to be part of a forum of other guys that are just like you, for free, you can go to mensdivorcenetwork.com.
Thanks for your time today, John. This was a great episode. Join us next week for another legal breakdown. We will see you then.